What's going on, everybody? This is Joe with the Entrepreneur Experience, and I'm excited to actually introduce one of my very own clients, Jacob Jacobs with Elevate Physical Therapy and Training in Kansas City. Jacob, what is up, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing all right, dude. I was looking back at things, and we've been coaching for like a year, a little over a year now, huh?
Yeah, almost, not quite, but almost a year out.
Not quite. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, when things are going well, time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So. Hey, really quick, just so we're consistent with our fans, let's do our quick icebreaker. We're gonna talk about coffee. Are you a coffee or tea guy?
I actually drink neither. I'm a big water guy. Maybe a little
Water.
bit of soda when I'm up late playing video games with my buddies, but usually it's just water.
It's just well, I always say there's plenty of water in coffee and tea.
That's true. That's true.
That's kind of my excuse.
I've never, gotten the taste for coffee.
Really? Well, I don't know. There's something wrong with you then. Maybe I found one thing. I found one thing. So, all right. So when it comes to water, I was going to ask you, do you sweeten or sugar? I mean, I guess it's just water's water, right? Except
hmm
for the soda.
I'm
Okay, cool. You said soda every once in a while. So what soda? Let's talk about that. What is your so go to?
Mountain Dew is usually my go-to. If not Mountain Dew, then definitely a strawberry Fanta.
Strawberry Fanta. Okay, you got
Mhm.
the exotic sodas. All right, sweet. Well, look, let's talk entrepreneurship, brother, because you have a very unique story. Um, you know, uh, but I want to ask you this: what attracted you to being an entrepreneur? Because everybody has their own story about that. Like, what was it for you that made you say, "Hey, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to do this on my own"?
Yeah, I think everyone, for the most part, once they find the career that they want to do, they have some desire to do it for themselves and not do it for somebody else. I always knew that I wanted to be a physical therapist and to eventually open my own clinic one day. But
Mm,
once I got into physical therapy school, I really got exposed to the what I would call the broken insurance model that we have in the US.
yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to break that broken model.
Hmm.
And the only way that I knew how to do that was to create my own business and do it in
Mm,
my own way so that I could not fall into the mold of, what everybody else was already doing.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. I agree with you. I think that like at least a lot of people entertain the possibility of being an entrepreneur, but not everybody really kind of makes that leap and does it. And even from there, there's two categories. There's like self-employed and actual business owner.
hmm
And so even there's different leaps from where you go. So did you experience success right away, or what type of journey did you experience from like when you first started to where you are now? Because I know you're breaking records right now, bro. Like it's impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely a slow start. So I was blessed with a really good job opportunity where I get to be a contractor for a bigger company. So I get to run my business in such a way that I want to run it, but I get a little bit of the cushion of having a bigger company funnel clients to me.
Yeah.
Um, but it was definitely a really slow start, and it was just doing marketing and doing networking and doing all this different stuff that I didn't realize I was going to have to do when I was in physical therapy school. But once
Mhm.
you kind of get immersed into this business ownership role, you realize very quickly how much you have to do to be successful. um, and thankfully I come from the mindset that I wanted to do it because I knew that I wanted to be a successful business owner and do stuff in a way that um, created success. So I knew I had to do all the things that I needed to do essentially.
Right. Cool. So early on, you kind of already wanted to be an entrepreneur, but what I was hearing you saying is you were in school for physical therapy, but they really didn't give you the elements to learn about how to actually run a successful practice. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the common thing with just education in general,
hmm
where you learn a skill, but you really learn it to work for somebody else. So it takes a whole different approach and a whole different like unlearning and learning new things to really be self-employed or a business owner. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think there aren't many medical professions that when you're in school for that profession that teach you how to be a business owner.
Yeah.
I think the only one that I can think of that truly teaches their practitioners how to be a business owner is chiropractic. And they,
Yeah.
what I understand, they have 3 or 4 classes specifically tailored to how to run a business. Whereas
Mhm.
my physical therapy program, we had one like half a semester class that was like, okay, if you were to ever open a clinic, what is your pie in the sky dream of what you want to do? It
Mhm.
wasn't practical. It was just like, okay, well, you have all the money in the world. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah. No, I've had the honor of coaching 3 chiropractors already, and you're absolutely right. Like I felt like a lot of them had a really good foundation on like what it means to run your own practice. So maybe there's something about those chiropractors. I don't know. They're weird and awesome at the same time, I've found, right? So no, it's cool. So talk to me about like the shift because you were doing this for a while, then you decided to get some business coaching. What was the shift or what was going on in your business that like helped you know I need some help. I need to know how to really run my business. And what caused you to reach out to me as a coach or just look for some type of mentorship?
Yeah. So I think it was when I realized there was a lot that I didn't know,
Hmm.
right? Because I didn't take any business classes in undergrad. I actually ended up getting my master's in business administration while I was getting my doctorate in physical therapy. So I had some idea of how to run a business, but it was also very um, clinical in nature. It wasn't realistic in nature. Like you learn all the terms, you know all the things, but you
Right.
don't know how to actually do the thing,
Right.
right? And then you came to my BNI one day and you were
Mhm.
talking about your growth club. I was like,
Right.
oh,
Right.
that sounds like a pretty good thing that I could try. You know, I want to set goals for next quarter. Um, and I don't know how to necessarily do that. So came to your growth club, got exposed to very broad group coaching
Hmm.
through that. And I realized, okay, I have these goals I want to hit, but I don't know how I'm going to do the things to help me hit those goals. Uh,
Right.
so that's when I realized there are a lot of things I don't know,
Right.
and there's somebody who can help me learn the things that I don't know.
Got it. Got it. So what has been the biggest value from coaching for you? Like what talk about that, the biggest value you're getting, and then like what are the results that you're getting as a result of that value?
Yeah, I I think the biggest thing that I've learned from you is number tracking,
Hmm.
and specifically the 5 ways, and
Mm.
how if you make even just a small change in any of those numbers, you can see a massive change in overall revenue or overall profit. Um, and also systemizing.
Right.
As I continue to grow, and like you mentioned, I'm breaking records each month. If I want to continue to do that, it means I have to systemize things so that I can bring on more people underneath me so that they can help me grow the business from the ground up.
Yeah.
Because I'm still in the very, I would say, infant stages of my business.
Right. Right.
And because I would call what I have right now self-employment
Hmm.
more so than true business ownership, with
Sure.
the goal to eventually become a true business owner.
Right. Right.
Um, and you can't do that without systemization. And
Hmm.
that's one of, I think, the biggest things that I've gotten from coaching with you.
Sweet. So if somebody's on the fence about coaching, mentorship, help with their business in general, right? Because like there's people listening to this podcast that maybe coaching isn't the route that they want to go, but help in general. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, or I'd ask them a question. I'd say, do you want to make more money?
Mm.
And that question is almost always yes.
Mhm.
And then I would follow that up with, do you believe that you know everything that is able to be known about running a business and running a business in your industry?
Mhm.
If the question is yes, I want to make more money, and the question is no, I don't know everything about running a business, then that
Mhm.
means that you need education and mentorship, and that's where a coach comes in.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I feel like you say that so smoothly because that's kind of what you do, right? Like in the physical therapy and training, you're more of like the coach. Like if you take it from that aspect, then you probably get people with better results because you're not just telling them what to do, you're coaching them on why and how and reminding them of hey, you're doing this for a reason. right? Whether
Yeah.
it's I'm unhealthy, I'm overweight, I'm whatever it is. Like I can just see you doing that. So you kind of already have that coach experience, which made that answer pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there are people listening to here and they're looking for a ray of hope sometimes. Like I could see the entrepreneur that's just struggling, that's a couple of months away from saying, screw it, I give up. Or there's people that, hey, I've had a lot of success, but I'm hitting a cap right now, or they're having issues with maybe systemization. What are some practical, you know, either stories that you have of going through challenges where you might have wanted to give up in business, and like what did you do specifically in those examples to say, you know what, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to do the X, Y, and Z, I did it and I've succeeded? Like, is there a story that you can give, or maybe just some practicalities, maybe some client experiences? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything specific, but I do vividly remember I came to your growth club. It was the very first growth club I came to, and it was the December of 2022. And I set all of these
Wow.
awesome goals. I was like, I'm going to make, I'm going to do this much in revenue and this much in profit. I'm going to set out these programs and I'm going to do all these really cool things. And then I had a really, really good January, right? Because I was still motivated and ready to do all
Mm-hmm.
the things. And then it was like my clients all went on vacation at the exact same time.
Wow.
I went from seeing like 20 to 25 people a week to I think one week in February I saw 8 people.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just a massive drop off. And I joke that they all went on vacation, but I honestly I don't know where those people went for those first like 3 weeks of February. Um,
Jeez.
so and at the time I wasn't doing coaching, so I didn't have anybody to lean on for it. Um, and it was a really tough spot. I was like, am I doing the right thing? Because
Right.
I'm not making I had a wife. I have a wife. We weren't pregnant at the time, but we wanted to start a family. And our income or my income was, evolved around how many clients I was seeing in a week. So I
Sure.
went from making really fairly good money to making almost no money.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really tough spot to be in because that made me immediately question, am I in the right position? Do I need to be a business owner? Or can I just go to one of those box physical therapy clinics where I'm, working through insurance and I'm seeing 70 people in a week and I'm making a salary? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what really drove me to coaching,
Mm-hmm.
partially because I needed that mentor. I
Yeah.
needed that person to kind of lean on when I was having a really crappy week, either from an emotional standpoint or from a business standpoint or from any type of standpoint.
Sure.
Having somebody to lean on, be like, hey, I'm struggling with this right now.
Right.
I need somebody to help me. I need some
Mm-hmm.
type of array of hope, right? Uh,
Gotcha.
so I don't have a specific, this was crappy and I did this to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
I just pushed through that month. And then the start of March was when the next growth club was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I sat down. I was like, okay, I did this 3 months ago. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to figure out exactly where I went wrong in February and the end of January, and I'm going to make sure that never happens again.
Got it. So you did
Um,
do something. You kind of shifted your mentality, your mindset, and you kind of, and with that, obviously, it's not as easy as just saying it. You got to do some stuff.
yeah,
So you got coaching, you put systems in place, you tracked your numbers, you found out where your leads were coming from, and then you just kind of went from there.
yep.
That's pretty cool. So is there like okay, let me position it like this. Before I ask that question, I have one last question to ask you. What does success mean to you? Because you talked about coming to a workshop that I did. You're like, yes, I'm going to do all this kind of stuff, and I'm pretty sure you had an idea of what success looked like at that point until you had a really crappy February and March,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it just kind of maybe evolved from there. But now that you are a more mature business owner, although you are most likely self-employed, you're working towards business ownership. What would you say the definition of success is for you at this point?
I would say success is um, it's doing enough in my business so that I can have the life that I want with my family.
Mm.
And that, I think that was one of the things when we did um, our first session together. You
Mhm.
asked me, what would I do if if money wasn't an object, what would I be doing all day, every day?
I remember the question. Money and time. If you didn't have to worry about that, what would you be doing?
Yeah, and for me, it's spending time with my family.
Mhm.
Now I have a wife of almost 6 years, like 5.5 years, and we have an 8-month-old. Um,
Yes.
and I want to spend every second of every day with them.
Mm.
But money is an object, and money is a thing. So building this business to help me create a as good of a life for them as possible. That's what success looks like for
Gotcha.
me personally.
For you. Yep. Yep. And I know that success is very personal. There's a perception of success, but truly what makes you happy. And if you are able to get that, then you're successful. I like that. You really defined time and money. Like you said, money is an object and it's really wrapped up around your time. So let me ask you this. Your next action step then, because obviously I'm sure you don't want to be self-employed for the rest of your life. And I know that because I'm your coach. So what is your next big thing to do in your business to start moving the needle towards business ownership and not coasting in self-employment?
Yeah. So what I'm working on right now is creating systems and documenting those systems so that if and when I bring on another physical therapist or another personal trainer,
Mhm.
um, I know exactly how I want to do it, and I can give them very specific guidance on, okay, whenever a lead comes in, this is how I want you to talk to them.
Right.
Whenever they run a consult, these are the words you're going to say. This is what you're going to take them through. Whenever you
Mm,
run a physical therapy session or a personal training session, this is how you're going to take them through that, and this is what the process looks like, so that
gotcha.
eventually I can build it to such a level that I can
Mhm.
start to step away. Where
Yep.
instead, like, because this week I think I'm I have 30 client sessions that are each about an hour
Mhm.
long, and
Right.
then I'm doing 10 to 15 hours worth of admin work, um, which means that's
And you squeeze in a podcast? What?
and I'm squeezing in a podcast and working out and doing all of this stuff for the business.
Yeah.
Workout's personal,
Yeah.
uh,
Hey.
but doing all of this stuff that is taking away time from my
Mhm.
wife and son. So when I get to the point where I can hire and offload some of my responsibilities, like I did with a marketing person recently,
Mhm.
um, the more I can hire and offload, the more time I can start spending with my family, which is where I feel successful.
Gotcha. I like that. All right. Well, we're going to close it out with this question. The 18-year-old Jacob Jacobs, if you were able to meet him today, what advice would you give him?
I have this awesome quote that I found, and I
Oh, I
didn't
love it.
write down who said it, but and I think it answers that question as well. So it's a quote and an answer to that question. Success is simple, but not easy, for
Mm.
it requires action and not intention.
Oh, I love that.
So
I love that.
success is it's simple, right? You know exactly how to do the things, you know what to do to be successful, right?
Yeah.
But it's not easy because you have to do the things that you know that you need to do, which is usually the not easy part, right?
Right. My coach told me it's easy to do and it's also easy not to do,
Yes.
you know? And oh man, a quote from Henry Ford: "If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right."
Yep.
So yeah, all that stuff. Yep, I love that. I love that. So the 18-year-old self, it's like, hey, just understand it's simple, not easy. So just start with it. I like
Yep.
that. Ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Jacobs with Elevate Physical Therapy and Training in Kansas City. Bro, I really appreciate your time and just your wisdom that you can impart to all the entrepreneurs here. And I really look forward to when this gets published. I'll let you know it, and we'll just blast it out to everybody. And guys, if you are listening to the Entrepreneur Experience and you have questions or anything for Jacob, write it down in the comments. I'm going to see about seeing if he can log on and actually answer the questions, or even getting him back on a special show to answer some of those big questions if I feel like they're big enough to do that. But Jacob, I really appreciate your time, brother. And I wish you all the luck with your family and your baby and your business.
Well, thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.